Good morning. Welcome to the City Possible Plaza for day 2. I'm sure we've all had some fun conversations, learned a lot. I'm very excited to be here today with these amazing people from all across the Europe region to talk about how we're really achieving a lot together in the smart city arena to really make technology work for people, especially in our geographic focus today. I'm Maddie Callis. I have the pleasure of working on City Possible for MasterCard, and I'm going to get right to it and let you all introduce yourselves. If you could just say your name, where you're from, and then we're very lucky to have 5 city leaders here. So what makes your city a city of dreams? Alex, do you want to?
Sure. I'm Alexander Hoff. I'm from Brussels. I work for a company called Easy Brussels. It's a regional company that works for the administrative simplification. So there's a lot of work there to do in Brussels. And what does my city make the city of dreams? Well, honestly, I think Brussels is a very diverse city. A lot of different nationalities, a lot of different languages, and a lot of different social classes. And I think Brussels always try to make, also if we talk about smart city or technologies, we try to make sure that it's available for everybody. So social inclusion is quite an important topic in Brussels. Yeah.
Jamie?
Right, so I'm Jamie Gooden. I lead the Smart City program in Dublin City. And I guess what excites me about the City of Dreams is the possibilities and collaboration in terms of how we can all work together to deliver the city, because we live, we work, and we're passionate about our city. I think Dublin is a real example of that collaboration, and I'll talk through some examples later.
Perfect. Raphael?
Hi, good morning to all of you. I'm Raffaele Guerrieri. I'm from Rome, Italy. I'm the Chief Digital Transition Officer at the City of Rome. And actually I started a few months ago in this great city. Yes, we have a lot of dreams today. So our goal, our challenge is to try to transform some of those dreams into reality, and which means how to start from the potential of technologies and change the way we are designing and implementing and providing services to the citizens and to the companies in our city. So we all know that it's not just a matter of technology, it's more a matter of organization, of different mindset, different business model. And so it's tough, but it's fascinating and very interesting. Thanks.
Of course. David?
Hi, good morning. My name is David. I'm from Lisbon, and I work with the City Council regarding technology and smart cities. If for my city to be the city of dreams, or normally it's referred to be a city of light and with great weather, but I would have to, like Brussels probably, to highlight tolerance, diversity in the city. And regarding smart cities, I believe it's a city very open to innovation.
Fernando?
Good morning. My name is Fernando Herrero. I'm the General Director of Innovation in the City of Madrid, the Madrid City Council. And my main goal in the city is to develop a new kind of city where the innovation is included in all ideas of the city, especially mix the high quality of life with a high productivity. That is maybe the idea of a city of the future, a place where people can live with a good quality of life, but also with a high economic activity and with high productivity. That is, in our opinion, that is very difficult, because the biggest cities in the world nowadays, for example, New York, that kind of city, people say that are places where nobody was born and nobody died. The people go there to study, to work very hard, and go out of the city to make a family. And this is not the city of the future. Maybe in our opinion, we have to work in order to have the mix, a high quality of life and high productivity in the economy.
I think that combination of things is very important, because you also, as you pointed out, Fernando, really want people to be citizens of your community and have everything they need there to go through all phases of life. So I think on that, let's get a little bit more specific and delve into some of the projects you guys have done, because I know you're all very accomplished. Jamie, why don't you start and kind of tell us a bit about Smart Docklands and how you've used technology to make everyone as excited about Dublin as you are.
Well, I mean, I think it comes back to your point, Raphael, that, you know, making it real. And, you know, I've been at the expo now the last 6 years, and I think where the big change is actually we're starting to see the promise of smart technologies turning into a reality in our cities. And I think, you know, from our perspective in Dublin, you know, I tried to bridge the interface between the world of innovation and technologies to a very traditional culture within our city organization. And how you do that is actually, you know, you build a collaboration model. So for us, it's bringing world-leading tech companies, startups, researchers together to actually help us solve some of the big challenges that we face in our cities. And I think you realize that your city is just so big and it's difficult to do it in one go. So you need to pick small chunks and pieces. And what we've done is picked, I suppose, a district where we can accelerate innovation. And I think this is something that's a real emerging trend across cities globally. So if you can concentrate activity and make it real and bring your city officials and bring your engineers in and work with them to deploy new technologies like 5G or connected sensor technologies that measure the environment better, but also bring citizens and communities in to that mix, all of a sudden people ask, well, actually this is what we want for the future. So that collaboration model and that engagement and building out a district like Smart Docklands has been absolutely essential to us, and it also helps when the likes of Google, Facebook, you know, LinkedIn, every tech company in the world is co-located there, so you can bring that ecosystem together and really innovate for the benefit of the wider city.
Absolutely. David, do you want to weigh in on Lisbon?
For us, I believe it's hard to single out a single project. We have been doing a lot of things in a lot of areas, for example, in economy, promotion of startups, developing ecosystems that can allow the growth of companies. For example, we have been working a lot on environment. We'll be Europe's green capital for 2020. But to single out a single project, I would probably highlight a project that we are doing. We are untapping a resource that we had in the city hall that we were not using, and a lot of cities are not using it enough, which is data. We have a lot of data from a lot of silos, from all of the vertical areas, and what we are doing now is tapping into this source of data and try to combine it and try to create value for the city, for the citizens, for the visitors, for everyone, and to try to use all of this value to enrich services.
That reminds me, Fernando, of what you said when we were talking about the panel before we started on metrics. So how?
I hope no. I hope in the future. Yes, in my first, the first idea I started to talk this morning was the city of the future must be a place where you can live and you can work also. So Matrix is the opposite, of course. But it's a very good question, because the future, I don't want to be like Cassandra, but the future is not very easy for people. In one way, the society need a lot of productivity. In fact, most of the people, especially in Europe, will be old people in the future. So just a few people will work, but the productivity must be very, very high in order to have a high quality of life to everybody. And that economic growth will be in the cities, because most of the people will go to the cities in the future, especially in Europe, and we need to adapt the cities to that kind of way of life. Very, in my opinion, very hard, but also with a lot of opportunities. For example, in Madrid, the idea of a smart city has changed from last 20 years. more or less like most of the cities. In the beginning, our main problem was to develop high technology, a lot of sensors, a lot of IoT in the cities. But now we implemented new ideas like sustainability, like environment. Maybe in order that think that the technology is included in all of the activities of the city. So now we need to use that technology to make easy the life of the citizens. So maybe.
I think this idea of returning to a livable city and how you're ultimately serving citizens, but really you have to advocate for all of your projects within your organization. You're nodding very profusely, Alex. Do you want to weigh in?
No, because I see the problem. I mean, the key for me is as well that all the different parts of the city, they work together and also discuss together which project are we going to do. I mean, to give you an example, Brussels is quite a complex city. If you talk about Brussels, a smart city, we got 19 different municipalities, we got 6 different police zones, we got 30 or 40 different administrations, and especially with technologies, you see everybody just running and trying to implement as fast as possible the new technologies, launching new sites, applications. But in the end, what do you get is like a whole jungle of application sites, and the citizen doesn't even know anymore where to go, what to do. And for me, it's very important, especially in a smart city, that we combine actually all our forces and just launch a couple of technologies or projects, so that it's also clear for the citizen where can I find my information, how can I do the things I need to do, and that we work together. That's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rafael?
Yes, we are probably in the same situation like in other cities. When I arrived in Rome, I found out that there were already many innovative projects in all the departments. But me too, I realized that most of them they were not interconnected each other.
Yeah.
So there is the high risk that after the funding, after the time of the projects will end, some of those projects will not survive to, let's say, ordinary services. So we have started to design and to write a smart city program for the city, because our goal is to raise the awareness of the importance of a common approach to the development at the political level, at the high decision level of our organization, and to use this to state which are the main pillars to develop a new project in terms of ecosystem approach, so not work in your silos, but work together with other departments and other players in the city. Second, to work with public partnerships, because we don't have so much resources to work alone, and at the same time the private is willing to do something in the ordinary services. And so we are trying in the essence to broken the silos inside our organization and also outside, because the city itself is not in the condition to have a great impact on our community unless it do together with all the other players. So it's a mindset change. It's not easy. It's more a cultural process, an organizational process. But at the same time, we can use technology to show that there is a possible implementation of those new things.
As I've had the privilege of meeting many of you before and going to different events with city leaders, I always feel like you have such a hard job, because you have to advocate for yourself internally within your organization and then also deliver to citizens and residents. So can we zone in a bit on the residents and citizens? Can you talk about how you have used technology to impact their daily lives? Because if we're not really going about it for the people, then it might not be as meaningful. So who wants to start? David?
I can. For example, for us, I'll give you a very particular example of a very small thing that in a complex organization like a city hall, and I've realized Brussels, Dublin, Rome, have pretty much the same problems that we do. For example, something something as simple as fixing a pothole or fixing a broken light could have a trail of paper within the city hall for days, for weeks. Depending on the complexity of the issue, it could take a lot of time. So the simple creation of an app, which had an amazing reception from the citizens, that bypasses almost all of the political parts and the most senior parts of the organization, going directly to a coordinator and to a performing team, has shortened the response times by a lot, and has increased the participation and the interactivity and awareness between the cities and the city hall in a very, very impacting way. In just the first year, we had around 40,000 users coming into the system, and on the second year, we are now publicizing it more to increase the user base. And our biggest problem here was not having people coming into the system, was responding to the amount of requests that started coming in at a very higher rate, with a greater speed. So I believe that small tools sometimes can provide a very good service and to the citizens.
I think that's a great example. I mean, a couple of the projects that we're rolling out in Dublin at the moment is kind of trying to get the citizen at the heart, and hopefully work with them to solve some of the big challenges we face. So a lot of cities are focusing on sustainable mobility, and we're trying to scale up cycling in our city. One of the projects that's really inspired people locally is we worked with a company on a smart bike light, and the bike light actually has technology built in that can obviously look at the routes that people cycle, but also find where there's a pothole or where people brake or swerve. And we've engaged with the cycling community, where we gave out 500 of these lights, and people then started sharing the data back with the city. And it's a company called C-Sense, a small kind of Irish-based company that designed the technology. But what really amazed us is whenever we kind of advertised the fact that we wanted people to engage with us, it was oversubscribed by 5 times. So we had nearly 2,000 people look for these lights. But now we have 1,000 cyclists in the city sharing this data back with the city. Now you might ask, now that we know where the potholes are, what are we going to do? So this is these are some of the challenges that when you get the data back, actually how are you going to act on it? But what we're doing is actually aligning that data where we're investing in new cycle schemes and trying to shape the design of these schemes with input back from the cycling community. So it's a really inspirational project from the city with a piece of technology that wouldn't have existed 4 or 5 years ago.
And very interactive.
Very interactive, yeah.
Rafael or Alex?
Yes, I'd like to mention 2 initiatives. One is about citizen participation, inclusion. It's the second year that in Rome we have been doing participating budgeting. So we started last year involving 1 municipality in the city, and this year we have involved all the 15 municipalities of the city of Rome. The city has decided that we can set 20 million euros whose use could be defined by the citizen itself. We have defined a topic, urban decor, and we have asked for projects coming from citizen, association, or municipality itself. There was we used a platform to select projects, to collect rankings, votes, and so on. And in the end, we arrived to around 30 projects that are going to happen in more or less a couple of each in each municipality. So this was nice to involve also the citizen in understanding also the importance of planning of public works and so on. At the same time, I'd like to mention an ongoing project. It just started. Is the idea to build a citizen relationship management platform. It's not actually something new in terms of technology. What is new, in my opinion, is that the idea that we are using a single platform, not only the city, but also all the in-house companies of the city itself. So it means that mobility agency or waste collection agency or tax agency of the city are going to use the same platform. so that the citizen, when he calls, when he will need an software, will be profiled in the same way with the same information. And the idea is to be closer to the needs, closer to create this sort of individual and personal relationship with the citizen. And of course, all this information could be used to plan or to monitor the service level agreement when we are providing services mobility in waste collection and so on. So our idea in the end is at the moment not to work specifically on vertical, but to work on some kind of infrastructure, digital services to help us, again, as I was mentioned at the beginning, how we can collect the existing application and to connect in a sort of digital hub, and later to let all the players free to develop their own application, but still in a common framework.
That sounds really exciting. I was just thinking of my own city, I wouldn't even know where to look for everything. I'm like, Alex or Fernando?
Well, to answer the question about, I mean, I agree with my colleagues that if you talk about technologies, that the best technologies in a smart city are indeed the applications or that a citizen, that you have the interaction with the citizen, and that they actually overcome the administrative burden that you sometimes see. What I think, for example, as an example in Brussels is a very simple app called Fix My Street, where you've got the application on the phone. If you see a hole in the street or you see a pile of garbage on the street, just take a picture, you send, and automatically it's sent to the administration or the municipality that needs to fix it. Before, I have even no idea with who you needed to call if you saw a garbage bag laying around, and also a citizen should not think about those things. They should just be able to solve it. And here, this is a very simple application where they just can interact, and all the data is available in open data, so behind it, so everything can be reused and give an idea of where are the problems in the street or how fast is it solved, and everything is available.
Fernando in Madrid?
Well, in Madrid we can talk about a lot of different initiatives because I think that we have all of the departments use the technology as much as they can because the technology is a commodity and it's necessary. Maybe I can talk about, of course, one very interesting initiative of citizen participation in order to include the opinion of the citizen in all of the activity of the city council. But we are thinking about change some ideas of citizen participation, because it's a good idea to ask the citizen, of course, but if you look at the private enterprise, they use that model of know the market 30 years ago. 30 years ago, a lot of the enterprises ask people, like make tests or question in order to know how the market works. Nowadays, Booking or Amazon never ask me nothing, but they know everything about me. Mm-hmm. So they use big data, they use another technology in order to know everything about their customers. Madrid will try to do the same idea. We are working in use the big data and all of the information that is now is open to know the need and the desire of the citizen in order to give them the best services.
I think you guys have each shared such an amazing, unique idea, and there's so much value in working together and collaborating. That's one of the pillars of City Possible, is that we can all learn from each other. And Jamie, Raphael, and David, I've met you at such events before. So can you speak about how you guys work with other cities and the types of partnerships you set up to make these successful? And I just want to be mindful of the time because we do want to take audience questions as well.
Well, I think the title of this conference is City of Dreams, and I think it's so exciting, the future, but equally it could be cities of nightmares if we don't make the right decisions in terms of the technology and the ethics behind the technology that we use. So one of the, I think, fantastic initiatives is cities coming together to think about is this the right way to deploy technology? And I think there's big decisions to be made in cities moving into the future. Things like drones, the space above cities, mobility as a service. Who owns the data? I mean, are we serving, just the privileged few? And what about the social divide? So I kind of worry. I mean, I not want to get depressed or anything, but I worry about what the future could look like if we don't work together as cities and figure this out and kind of set the rules, because technology companies are out there to make money out of this, and we want everyone to make money, but do it in the right way that delivers the best outcome for our citizens. So that's why it's so important to have these type of relationships.
Yes, I think it's very important for us to be part of an international network, to be in a place where you can exchange your current needs and how the other city have already faced some similar problems. This independently of the fact that some cities are far behind you on a topic and some other are maybe behind you, but this effort of exchanging the designing process, the implementation, what it worked and what it failed, it's very important because it allows us to contextualize other experience in your own context, which is always different from cities to city. So I don't find easily to completely reuse a solution from the cities to my cities, but for sure I find easily to reuse the experience in terms of the problem that they had to tackle, the solution and the approach they had. And this is something that is really critical to make the true return on the investment also for our city. So I think we need it, and even if apparently if we need to provide local services, but we are living in a global world, and most of technology platforms and models are worldwide, and so I think this couple of dimensions, international and local, must be the driving approach.
Any questions from the audience? Don't all jump at once. No.
Over here.
Yep. Speak louder.
Most of you mentioned the idea of diversity in your cities. So my question is, how do you address that diversity in terms of... most of you mentioned the diversity factor in your cities. So my question to you is how you address that in terms of digital adoption, interfaces that you design for consumers to give you feedback.
So how do you address diversity in terms of adoption and create channels for users to give you feedback?
Well, if I can, I think it affects you in terms of list of priorities. So, for example, for Rome, tourism is, of course, because we had almost 1 million of tourists a day, and another million of commuters from around cities is a priority. But some kind of business model or approach, probably that maybe Jamie has already developed, let's say, the mobility, could be applied in my own context, probably in the tourism area. So it's the top level, let me say, of the application that will change from cities to cities. But in terms of infrastructures, models, and approach, probably there is a much opportunity to recycle, let me say, tools. But in terms of list of priority or services to our context, probably each city has to follow its own history and its own current needs or sensitiveness of the citizen itself. Unfortunately, for example, in Rome, the top problem could be maintenance of the road and waste collection, we know, and tourism. We also know that some of those issues can be solved in the midterm, some other in short term. So you need to find a balance to keep the good participation, let's say, the positive attitude of the citizens, not to destroy the awareness of the potential of benefits because of some lack of organization and so on.
Alex, you mentioned Brussels as a diverse place in your first answer, so do you want to weigh in?
Well, I think one important aspect as well is the social inclusion as well, and that's something we sometimes forget, especially if we talk a lot about technology. We tend to go for all online solutions, fast solutions, but for example, in Brussels, there's still a high percentage of households who don't have access to the internet, or people that have never used the internet. And I think it's also very important to take them along in the whole story. For example, we've got a couple of projects in general to get, for example, Wi-Fi all over the city, fiber to the school is a big project. But what we also really did is have digital rooms in every municipality where people who don't have access or just don't know how to use a computer can go and they get help of doing their online administration and everything. And I think that's a very important part of the smart city and of putting in place new technologies and getting along with this diversity. Yeah.
Anybody else? We're out of time, but I have one final question for you all. I'm going to ask to give just a one word, one phrase answer. What is the quality of the City of Dreams that we're moving towards, or what's the most important aspect of the City of Dreams we're all aspiring to achieve?
Well, I'm going to take the easy one, but it's working together.
Well, I was just going to say the same thing, but it's collaboration.
Yeah.
Well, of course, just to change, I would say the same. For us, it could be how to make Rome a wonderful place to live, not only for citizens and tourists, but also for businesses. Yeah.
David?
Simplicity. For me, it would be simplicity because in a modern day city, what we have less is time, and time is the biggest asset that you can give back to the citizens. If we make their relationship with the city and with eliminating bureaucracy, we give them time back, and I believe that's one of the biggest assets that we can provide for them.
Great. Yeah. And Fernando from Madrid?
For me, the city of the future, with successful city, will be a place where there will be a place where people can develop their creativity and their ideas with freedom, without barriers, because the creativity of the human people is infinite, and they solve the problem of the future.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your ideas. And if you'd like to spend some more time this afternoon from 2 to 5, there's a European City Possible convening. It's across the street, I believe, at the Hotel Portofino. Come ask. I'm happy to give you more details, and you can interact with some of these lovely individuals on stage. So join me in thanking them, and have a wonderful Smart City experience.
Thank you.